Okay, here we are. Season,
Hi.
season 4, episode 2.
Yep, here we
And
are.
we've experienced a breakdown.
Technology, a series of technology breakdowns. Welcome to the 21st century, where technology is your best friend and your worst enemy all at the same time. Yeah, that's where we live now. That's where we live now.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Anyhow, I'm on my new Apple here.
Yep. We were talking about how sometimes computer systems are similar, but just different enough to just be disorienting.
Yeah,
And that's kind of where we were. So,
we had a breakthrough.
so what's been going on in your world? What's happening right now? Other than the tech breakdown. I can tell you about mine. You want me to start with mine? I just got back from a really cool weekend. Um, I'm a graduate of the College of William and Mary in Virginia, and in 2018 they started holding women's events to celebrate 100 years of women on the campus. The first
Mhm.
class of women graduated in 2018 or started in 2018. Um, And every couple of years they put on an event. So it was 185 women from all different age groups, all different parts of their career path and their life path. And we had events and we went to dinner and we hung out and it was just really wonderful. And there was a woman in the first class in 1918 named, I think her name was Mary Baskerville. I know her last name was Baskerville. And she was the first woman to graduate from the college because her name started with B. So when they read the names and handed out the diplomas, she was first. And I sat with a woman who was from the class of 1969. So Mary Baskerville was in the class of 2020, 1922. And I sat with this woman, and Mary Baskerville, when she graduated from William and Mary, went on to teach PE to women at William and Mary. So she stayed there for decades.
Mm,
And the woman that I was sitting with said, I want to shake your hand. I said, okay, I'll shake your hand. She shook my hand and she said, I shook Mary Baskerville's hand because she taught me. And
mhm.
now you've shaken my hand. So now you have a direct connection all the way back to that first class of women. And it was interesting how something that simple I still get goosebumps just thinking about it. It's so profound. The connections between people, even across 100 years,
Wow.
even
Yeah.
across 100 years. It was so beautiful. And I love that she did it. So I was telling my friends this story at dinner and then I went, oh, wait. So I shook each of my friends' hands. They've shaken my hands before, I'm sure, but I shook their hands. And I said, now you've shaken my hands, whatever, whatever the verb is, verb tense. Um, it was really beautiful. And we were in a bookstore yesterday after the whole event was over, and I struck up a conversation with a young woman who's in a graduate program to teach English to high school students.
Hmm.
And so again, like she's currently a student. She just graduated from there and she's just starting her first year of grad school. And so she is where Mary Baskerville was in 1918 and where this woman I was sitting with was in 1965 or 60. Well, she graduated in 69, so 67. Wait, oh, yeah, 65. So yeah, it was just fun to celebrate, the college itself. And there were men who attended. There were some husbands that came and some other people. There were men on the staff that were there, and it was really neat the interplay of us as women, but then also us as alums, as part of a larger body of humans that have gone through that school. So it was neat, and it was. I ended up attending a session on happiness and authenticity that
Mm.
I probably could have taught, but it was fun to take it from someone else. So
Yeah.
different alums, different staff taught different classes and different breakout sessions for us, and it was just really fun. It was
Mhm.
very fun.
No.
Enjoyed it thoroughly. So that's, kind of when you come away from something like that, it's all you can think about. Like it was 3 intense days. It was 8:30 to 10 or 11 at night for 3 days straight.
Mm.
It's like today's just wait, what is my life about? What am I supposed to be doing? Where I'm picking up where I left off last week when I went off to
Yes.
this intense experience. So
Yeah.
that's where I am this morning and thinking,
And then coming on here,
yeah,
for our second episode,
yeah,
season
yeah.
4. I mean, last week we had Jeremy Nash
Yes, we did. That
join
was really
us,
fun.
and
Yeah.
for our first episode, and
Yeah.
that was that was really good actually. We had a
It
lot of
was it
views
was such a
on
great conversation. And I met a poet this weekend. I met a professor who is a poet and teaches both writing and appreciating poetry. And I told her about Jeremy because I talked about that very beautiful, practical human application of poetry as a that he talked about of
Mm.
poetry as a means of connecting us to ourselves, connecting us to humanity, connecting us to each other. And she was so intrigued. I think I'm going to have to get back with her. When we post that, I'm going to send her the link because I think she needs to
Yes.
hear from Jeremy
Yeah.
about how, everything he said. So yeah,
Yes.
another connection, right? Another means of connection.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, good, good. And I'm feeling I'm happy here now. So thank you very much for your patience on helping me set up the Zoom
I
here.
think maybe that is the solution for the 21st century. We are so isolated and people talk
It
about how they
wasn't
feel that
working.
community.
It
You
wasn't
just
going to
need
work on the PC anymore. It's like, okay,
you're
we have
gonna
to
have to
switch up
fix it
now.
yourself, but maybe you just need to have a human with you because the computer is not a human. So like even if the other human isn't helping you with the tech part of it, or if they are, you just need another human to
Right.
remember that like this, yeah.
And that brings us back to the premiere, like when we did our first premiere on this about
Yeah.
the AI, you know,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
versus being connected to a human being.
Yeah. There was a woman who presented a really interesting piece on AI facilitating human connection in a really interesting way. And she was talking about using AI to make sense of data so that we can actually provide services where they're needed. And she talked about hospitals during the pandemic that could only guess what they needed, and they set up resources they didn't need, and then they didn't have those resources for what ended up actually happening. And she talked
Yeah.
about by the organizations that were using data connection and collection and analysis were able to actually be there where people needed them.
Yeah.
So she was talking about that, and I thought that's really an interesting use of AI. It's not the communication part of AI. It's the make help me make sense of this. And her whole speech was on when do you trust your gut and when do you trust the data and what's the magic synergy between those two.
Mhm.
And it was making me think of our conversation because she said, if you don't do a gut check, you don't know if you're being led in the wrong direction. And
Mhm.
if you don't use the data, you don't know if your gut has bias, right? So I really want this to be true. So I'm going to look for this to be true. And she
Mhm.
said, what you really need is both working together. Yeah, it was really an
Interesting.
interesting,
Yeah.
yeah. How do we use AI to be more human? How do we use technology
Yeah.
to facilitate conversations that then other people can watch? It, you
Mm.
know, it, how do we navigate all this and stay as human as possible? Get even more human. How do we get even more human?
Mm.
That would be good.
Okay, now it's telling us. It just showed up on here that we have 10
We
minutes.
have 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah, for our recording here.
So yeah, so my obvious theme is connection and
Yeah. The
um
connections we make.
the connections we make and the connections we crave. You
Oh,
know,
that's beautiful.
we I think that's part of going to an experience like that. And one of I went with two friends. We carpooled.
But I want you to go, wait, 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 before
I'm
you
going to. I'm going into that deeper.
just
So
wait.
my friend told me that her only expectation for the experience was that it was going to be good. And she kept talking about how surprised, even though that was her only expectation, I was so surprised because I met this woman and we had this amazing conversation and we're going to get together and do this thing. Or I met this person and we had this in common. And she kept talking about surprise.
Mm,
And I think the surprise is that we forget we need this, right? The surprise isn't that you go to a place where you already have something in common with people and there's going to be really cool people there and cool things happen. That shouldn't be the surprise. But the startle seemed to have been that we crave connection and we don't always understand what it is we're missing or wanting or would like to have. Craving.
yeah.
Cravings are interesting because sometimes they're very specific. I really want a maraschino cherry, whatever. Okay, something very specific. But sometimes you have this craving. Like, have you ever had that experience where you know you want something and So you're going to go out to dinner with somebody and you're like, where should we go to eat? And you just keep running lists of kinds of restaurant and nothing quite hits. You know you want a certain, you just can't. There's sometimes cravings are indistinct, and that's such an interesting challenge. What is it that I really want here? And with connection, I think that's very true because you don't even know what's possible sometimes.
And even craving, not only to be connected to someone
Hmm.
on the physical
Hmm.
or on a soul level,
Hmm.
um, craving to connect to our own self.
Well, and so much of that happens in the presence of other people. My friend is telling me a story about how it used to drive her crazy when she was younger that her mother never knew the words to any songs. So she decided she was going to she was always going to know the lyrics. I had the exact same experience with my mother. So
Mm,
she's telling me a story that's bringing me closer to her, and at the same time, unlocking a memory, affirming something in me, laughter. I mean, how good it feels to laugh with other people. And
hmm
that is a loop of in and out the whole time.
mm. Why is my camera moving around without me touching it?
Probably has a face tracking thing. Welcome to your new technology. You're gonna have to figure that out. So try moving and see if it follows.
Craving to be with me.
It's craving your face. Try moving and see if it follows you. If that's what it is, then
I
it's face.
just like I sat back and it
And it
made
yeah,
me see it
it's
move.
trying to follow your face.
See? I'm not too
Oh, we were in the car and we were just talking and we heard this very eerie wailing sound. And we both heard it. It was very distant. It was with just one of my other friends at that moment. And we were like, what was that? And so we're trying to figure it out. And was it like an ambulance going on a cross street? We were on the highway. It was the highway. They were in the process of redoing some of it, and they had those scored areas where the highway was just kind of raw and it had scores in it. And
Yeah.
my tires were making this wailing sound of the damned. It was but it was really distant. It was so creepy. So yeah, like when technology or environment does something you don't expect, it can be super creepy. Like, why is it doing that? What is it doing? So yeah, I think it's part of the unnerving part of living a life where you go out and do things, you try new things, and you bring new technology in. You're always going to be facing things that you can't explain in the moment or that are yet because you don't know what it is. And we don't know why your computer's doing that, but you need to figure that out
Mm.
because it's going to be really distracting to you if you don't figure that
Well,
out.
it's like it's new, like this Apple,
Yeah.
Mac is
Yeah.
new to me because I'm just
Yeah.
used to the Sony, the PC.
Yeah.
This was a gift. This was a
Yeah.
gift
Yeah. It's a
to
lovely
me.
gift.
What?
It's a lovely gift.
It's a
The
lovely
gift of
gift.
access and the gift of new experiences and the gift of being freaked out when it tries to follow your
Yeah.
face. It's a very nice gift. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Blessing in disguise, actually. Yeah.
nice. Nice. Well, and there's that dance that you do with new technology. Like, I really want to take advantage of this, but there's such a learning curve. And when am I going to sit down and learn this? You and I were talking about that a little bit ago. And
Mm.
yeah, and people are the same way. You know, I want to know this person better, but I have to take them to coffee. And how are we going to find a time that fits in both of our, like, just, there's always a barrier. There's always a pushback. There's always a cost, and it's worth it.
Connections.
Connections. And facilitating connections, putting yourself in the places where those connections can happen and making the invitation and putting yourself out there.
Mm. Yes. And that's what we're doing here actually
That's
for
right.
this season because
Yeah.
we're connecting to our mentors and our elders in the ontological
Yeah.
world, right? That brought
Yeah.
this work to us.
Yes.
We will be having Julio join us next week, and that's going to be an interesting conversation. He's going to be coming back from Colombia, I think.
I think that's where he said, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
And
going
just for everybody who is just hearing this, So Julia Laya is the founder of the Newfield Network, which is the school that both of us attended. And he is um, one of the one of the founding thinkers of the ontological coaching movement, and we're very excited to be talking to him next time.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be interesting.
It is.
And I'm actually assisting starting this week with
Oh yeah,
the
the
new
class.
field
Yeah,
program, yeah, for three
yeah.
days. And I'm so honored for that to be on the team.
That's going to be so much fun.
Have you done?
I have not done that. Going back, alumni can go back and be assistants.
Yeah,
And I haven't done it, but a lot of people I know have, and they
yeah.
speak so highly of the richness of re-immersing yourself from
In
a place of service where you're helping other people at the same time, and the re-immersion in the material that you learned at some point. And now, what is it? What does it look like now that you've been coaching and that you've had this life with it for a while? So yeah,
Well, I'm a
I'm,
graduate,
yeah,
since
right.
2005, 2006.
Yeah.
I did do a reimmersion in Washington,
Oh, okay.
D.C. back in 2010
Okay.
and for 3 days. And
Yeah.
now I'm doing it here, excuse me, online, right?
Yeah, I know. So different. Yeah, I did the original program. I graduated in 2016, but last year I took a course with them that was online on somatics on the body in coaching. And I was amazed at how possible it was to have a quality, really deep, vibrant
Mhm.
educational experience online. I mean, it can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still coaching to the human soul
Yeah, absolutely.
as part of our training. We have 1 minute left. Is
Yeah, well, I look forward to hearing about your experience with the course, with um the program this
yeah,
week, and I'm looking forward to our conversation next week.
excellent. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.